We are a solutions-orientated business. I believe we have come up with a plan.
It's Monday morning, and we're not in the yard yet. I'm filming with my phone. There's no memory card in my DJI. Absolutely fuming. Terry thinks it's funny. Came to collect me. We're racing in because today was going to be a monumentous day when we loaded a train with muck for the first time. But guess what? It's cancelled. And we don't know why. But we were told last night. So all the prep work we did last week, moving the material so we could load it onto the train, was all in vain. So today I'm gonna try and have to find out why and when, in fact, and work out if we're gonna need to, normally I say we double handle, but now I'm gonna have to find out if we're gonna have to triple and quadruple handle the material and move it back out of the way again, which is always fun, isn't it, Tezza?
It's always fun for 2 days to worth of prep work for a train that then doesn't exist.
That's what we do. We work with John Cena trains.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means, but... Hollow Man train. You know what Hollow Man is?
Hollow Man.
Hollow Man.
Like Giggs the rapper.
No, not Giggs the rapper.
Right.
Tell. No, Hollow Man, like the film, the geezer who's invisible. Right, the Invisible Man, the Invisible Train.
Invisible trains, yeah.
Anyway, we make our way into the yard and push on regardless.
Furious!
I'm furious!
I haven't lost anything, but I'm furious.
I've lost everything!
Nah, tell. I've lost everything!
Flo had a day of learning on Saturday. What do you reckon, Flo? We can load that train, yeah?
Easy, yeah.
Easy, see it there? Easy, do you hear what he said? Of course. So we believe we can load the train, but we are in the hands of the operators. So because we have space in the yard and the yard isn't flat out busy at the moment, we don't have to triple, quadruple handle the material. We're just gonna leave it, but we are gonna do some other maintenance. We're gonna clean up a bit, kind of like a walk-in brief, pick up all the little bits of rubbish, give it a good sweep, remove any large objects which may have been stuck in any piles of material and cause contamination. Sometimes when you're driving with the shovel and you're using it in different piles, something can get stuck in the bucket of the shovel and end up in another material pile. So we're just going to ensure that we take all of those out and have a look at some of the material which hasn't moved in a while, possibly turn it over so we can increase the consistency. But I think we're ready. So we're just going to work on perfecting our craft, getting the yard, the train track and the material ready. It's weird being in on a Monday, and after so many years, I got so used to all the things which happen here, and there was add-ons and add-ons and add-ons and add-ons, and now I get in, and it's significantly reduced, and we're doing other bits, and taking the financial element out of it, there is something that it's given me, and that is the most important commodity in any field. And it's more precious than any stone or any amount of money. And that is time. Time to think and time to make decisions. And I have a clear path of what we're going to do here. But outside of the yard, there's also a plan that's festering, which I'm going to share with you all because I've got a little bit superstitious. Like I actually have to tell you when it's actually started as opposed to the plan when I'm building up to it. But they are exciting times. There's a bit of sadness, but the majority of it is excitement. And in case you're wondering why Terry picked me up this morning after seeing last week the reasons why he's moving on, Terry gave notice and his last day is actually tomorrow. Had a bit of car trouble today, so he came and collected me. and we had a nice drive in together. And last week, you saw we had a predicament at the central London penthouse. The window frames didn't fit up the stairs, so we stored them in the basement. Well, the supplier has come in, they've dismantled, they've brought them up to the penthouse now, they're reassembling, and now the installation can begin. First, we remove the silicone externally between the old window frame and LED flashing. Then start the demo internally, removing the sash sections first. These timber windows are old school and were built strong to last long and are extremely stubborn. They don't make them like this anymore. The windowsill is made from hardwood and the rest from softwood. The previous windowsill had LED flashing fitted to the bottom for waterproofing. We need to replace this, so fit 10-inch code 4 LED directly to the bottom of the opening. Galvanized 40mm nails are used to fix in place, and we're ready for the window frame. The LED externally overlaps by 5mm, so the frame is slotted into place internally and fixed into the opening frame timber. Now the folding doors and mechanisms can be fitted within the frame. Then it's handles, locks, and double glazed glass panes. Meanwhile, back at the Ashville yard, Simon is doing a check of all the buckets we have in stock to ensure each machine has the attachments it was delivered with. If any are missing, we need to check the paperwork from the last hires to see how many buckets were returned with the machines. Each excavator should come with a digging, trenching, and grading bucket. For a while, oh, look at those spider webs. Oh, I need to get rid of, there's a spider in it right above my head. I need to address that immediately. The Volvo Volumetric has been sat within the workshop doing nothing for many months. Last week, I showed you a picture of the engine, which has been sourced, and I just paid for it. And the engine will be delivered tomorrow. We're going to have to pull out the old one, put them side by side, move over a couple of bits, then try and drop the new one in. It'll probably take us about 10 days to fit it all back together. Then when we turn it on, we will have a Christmas tree light dashboard. We're going to have to do some computer tech plugging in, but hopefully that lorry will be ready to drive around the yard and pour concrete, or for any other utility concrete that we need poured in this vicinity without going onto the road. Hopefully it will be ready soon enough. And I'm going to have a word with my townie to see if he minds us documenting taking an engine out of a lorry, putting a new one in, how we do it, how we connect it, and how we overcome any challenges. But I'm not sure that my townie will agree, because my townie has very strong words when we discuss him being on camera. Things which I can't repeat in weekly, because this is, of course, a family show. And that's it for Monday. It's Tuesday, and we're in the yard, and we have a delivery that I have been waiting for. Sorry, say again? I was going to pull in here and take it. No? Okay, fine. Sorry, just over there, please, yeah? I believe this is the delivery of the engine for our volumetric. And thankfully, now that our forklift is working, we should be able to offload it nice and easy. The sun is shining again. It's 2 days in a row. It's not very warm. It's about 2 degrees. But when the sun is shining, the yard begins to dry up a little bit. Maybe the sun shining, it's a symbol of things to come. We are getting there.
We're going to make a start on this very soon, but not just yet. Do you remember a couple of weeks back, I was telling you that we believed there was a problem with the tyre van bearing, but the workshop couldn't look at it because it was so dirty. Well, we were right and wrong at the same time. It was a bearing, but it wasn't a rear bearing. It was the front passenger side. Now, we've stripped it down and we've ordered the part. We're just waiting for it to arrive. And when we've done that, we will then move on to pulling out the other engine, shifting around our space here and trying to put the engine side by side. An email came through from my mate Johnny at Lutz Cassett in Scotland, and this is a mock-up of the champagne display that's going to go in the dining room of the refurbishment project. Weeks back, they gave us an outline and they asked us to develop it slightly. They wanted a bit more room with the 2 displays you can see, and I believe we've delivered on that. So we sent it to the client and we're waiting for approval. If we get approval, that'll be 1 bit more which is agreed we can put into production, and then when we do get back to the refurbishment project, we will have clear direction and plenty of work to do, which we can sequence accordingly. And now we're going to fit the bearing and hub onto the tyre van. I tried to buy just the bearing, but it comes together with the hub. So let's get that fitted. I was just on a Zoom with the freight operator about our train. They let me know the problems, and as we are a solutions-orientated business, I believe we have come up with a plan. They actually were very helpful at the same time, because they have a portable weighing system. As we test our method of loading, they would like to set it up in the yard, and as they go to drive out over it, if there is a problem, they can reverse back into the yard and we can load a little bit more, or we can take some out. Flo! Flo! What's wrong? Greasing. Okay, come with me, please. Greasing. I'm glad they're greasing and there isn't a problem with the LA60 bucket. But at the moment, let's wait for Flo. He's going to like this news. Flo, we're going for a walk because the train is booked again for Monday. At the top of the yard, where it's not concreted, they're going to fit a temporary weighing system. They're going to bring it on a van and they're going to set it up. And if we're lucky, they'll leave the temporary weighing system here, which I doubt they will because it's probably very expensive. So we need to go up to the top of the yard and I need to take some pictures and we need to measure how much track we have, which is not concreted. Let's check from the gate.
14 and 30.
I was hoping we had a little bit more. It's just over 14 meters, but we do have a little bit of space to play with just outside the yard. But ideally, they wanted the area to be completely straight. It's almost straight. There's just a little kick in it as you turn into the yard. So I'm going to send the pictures on and hopefully we have a solution, or at least a way forward. And now let's head into central London to see how the lads are getting on at the penthouse. We continue with the tiling in the bathroom. It's more intricate cutting needed. We measure up, mark with tape, and very carefully cut with a grinder. This full-size tile is being fitted in front of the bath and has a cutout for a niche. Then it's applying adhesive to the wall and back of the tile before fitting into place. Meanwhile, back at the Ashville yard. Tuesday afternoon, and this is it for Terry's long and loyal service, which we thank him for. Starts his new job on Monday. He is not starting a fishing YouTube channel and just going for the content game.
I'm not trying to be a media creator. No.
Nah, Terry has decided against being a creator, although I know a lot of you would love to keep up with Terry's antics. He's going to another firm who also run lorries in the same way in which we did, and Terry will continue to progress on with his career. We will miss him dearly, and we thank Terry for his loyal and honourable service. So if you was in the army, what's it called when you just leave? When you leave the army?
Absconder.
Absconder, or you're an absconder, or is this an honourable discharge?
I don't think it's absconding. I'll give you notice. I don't think it's no. I don't know what you call it. Not sure.
But
I'm
it's
sure there are plenty of people who've got opinions anyway.
Yeah, we're not worried about that.
We're not worried about that. Only.
Hopefully, the firm where Terry's working now, hopefully they'll use us for a bit of tipping. You know, collect a bit of material off us every
See
now
if I can
and
get the rates down or not.
He's already trying to get the rates down on me. He's already put his other hat on. If he's telling me my gear's too expensive and he can't come in and collect it. Do you know what? At least we can say that Terry is consistent.
Consistent. That's what you say all that years ago. Consistency, 20.
Yeah, consistency 20. You know the cards. When you play Championship Manager back in the day, everything's out of 20. And Terry is definitely consistency 20. People skills, 2. Consistency 20. Tezza, thank you very much for your loyal service. I wish you the best, mate.
Thank you. Appreciate that. We'll be in touch.
And Terry's going to go fishing for a couple of days. Click here to watch a video where I taught Terry how to fish, and he caught the first fish he ever caught in his entire life. He's going to do that for a couple of days. Download, empty the cache, refresh, start again on Monday.
Start again on Monday. That's it. That. Thank you, Daniel. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Terry. And that is it for Tuesday. It's Wednesday, and I'm in the yard, and I just ran for a load of cobwebs. And there is a roll-on, roll-off, pulled into the yard, get ready to tip some material, and I have a feeling this is the finest of fine concrete that I've ever seen in my life, which is fantastic for processing. So I'm going to take a closer look. The finest of gear, if ever I saw it. Material like this is perfect for processing, to crush it down into smaller sizes to create 6F5 and Type 1, which other customers can come in and collect. The processing of material will be a completely separate video, but unfortunately, because I'm being awkward like that, I would like to put that video out before we begin to showcase some of the processing day to day, which we are planning on doing. Nice, a great start to a sunny day. Hey Flo, he's good at it. It's great material. I'm back on the case now, looking for a weighing system for our track. It's good that the operator is going to help us out, but long term, that isn't a solution. They're not just going to keep coming back every time we have a train. But at the same time, I'm trying to gauge it against how much traffic we can foresee in the next 12, 24, 48 months. There's going to be a train every day. It pays itself back quickly, but this is going to cost us at least £35,000 for a new one. And if I divide that by the amount of trains, I'm trying to work out how long it's going to be before we get our return on investment. But on the flip side, if you don't have it and then nobody runs a train at all, then you have nothing. So I'm trying to find a second-hand unit, but it's not exactly something that's openly available on eBay and people are selling them day in and day out. And when they are selling them, they don't have any competition, so they can basically ask for whatever they want. And then when you do buy a used unit, I'm not going to have any warranty. And then I need the actual manufacturer to come in. I need them to set it up. We need to learn how to use it. And then we're going to have to get it certified to ensure it's correct. Because I'm not saying that people don't trust each other in this industry, but I could
You know, someone could have the weighing scale say anything. And it's, of course, a massive health and safety risk because the train has to go out into the main line. And if it's overloaded, then it affects its stopping distance. And if it's underloaded, then you're wasting money because you're paying a minimum cost per ton to move freight. Need some time to be spent on it. There will be investigations and there will be back-to-back phone calls. But somehow, some way, I think I can manage to get something which will work. I just don't know how long it's going to take. Now, last week at the Central London project, you saw us dry fit the first window in the kitchen. Well, now the installers are on site. They are going to fit that window fully, and then they're going to continue with the door in the kitchen to get out onto the terrace. I have a phone call. Hello. Within this opening is a door and fixed panel window. The door and fixed panel frame are fitted first, leveled and fixed into place. Then the opening door is fitted, followed by the glass panes. With these aluminium window frames, the outside part of the frame is already fitted with a gasket, so the pane is fitted into place internally. Then internally, beading is fitted and then a rubber gasket between the beading and the glass to seal. This is done with a plastic paddle shovel wedge. It's Thursday morning and I'm in the yard. And today starts on a very sad note. Unfortunately, Flo lost his father last night, so he's flown out immediately to be with his family. Our thoughts are with Flo and his family at this time. We wish them the best through this difficult period. And it goes to show that when you think you have problems or things you think are really important, they're not that important. And they're not really problems. They're things that you're trying to do to either move forward or navigate a situation. A situation like this shows what's really important. And something else which is sad is that sometimes it takes something like this to happen to actually realize what is truly important. So once again, our thoughts and our well wishes are with Flo and his family. Now Celtic are pulling up to return our traffic lights, which they borrowed because they were so busy. They didn't repossess them. We didn't have much traffic of lorries going in and out in the yard, so it didn't really affect us. So of course we accommodated our helpful neighbours. Nice! Another fine load of breakout concrete coming into the yard. I'm up at the top of the yard. We're trying to prepare for our train, which is going to come in on Monday. Now, without Flo being here, we've reached out to one of our friends, and Quattro are going to supply us with one of their operators who we're going to collect from the train station at 11 a.m. on Monday, and they are going to help us load our train. Now, their weighing system should get here between 8 and 9 o'clock in the morning, but I've been told by the freight operator that the van is going to have to mount our train track and then get off our train track, and the van is going to need to park somewhere in this area. Obviously, because of the large step here, that's not possible at the moment. So the lads are going to gather some of the material here, build it up. We're going to get some of the concrete sleepers. We're going to turn them over so we don't have the sharp metal edges, and then we're going to pack more material on top of it to give a ramp so the van can get on and off.
plenty to do before this train comes. It's the first time we've ever done it. There will be things which we are going to have to learn on the job, but we want to be as prepared as possible. So let's get started. These videos are 2 weeks behind, for those of you who don't know. And last night the video came out, which explained the end of an era and my reasons behind it and what we plan to do in the future. Click here to watch that video. Now, filming that video was very difficult. Even sitting through the edits was very difficult. And strangely, I kind of braced myself for impact. You know, if you're in a bumper car and you know it's a head-on collision, you go, come on. I felt it was necessary and I was going to do it no matter what. But because of some of the negative press and some of the things that people had been saying, I was like, look, this is going to be a difficult one. I have to say, I am genuinely touched. I'd like to thank everyone. And I cannot believe the amount of positivity that came through, and I wasn't expecting it. Like, I had to sit down for a second and actually say, like, wow. So I'd like to thank all of you who showed support and watched the video. More often than not, in this day and age, you get punished for transparency. If you follow what you see online, everybody is the most successful person in the world. Everybody does well. It can be a bit daunting for people looking out there thinking,
oh my God, everyone's doing so well. How comes I'm not doing well?
Sharing a challenge like that and people coming out in force to support. Once again, I am very thankful to all of you. And the decision which was made in that video means that we are and have been selling a load of the lorries. And tippers are a funny thing, man. Somebody turns up and says,
these tippers are cheap, I'm buying one.
And another person turns up and says that
the tipper's expensive.
And you'd be like, mate, like, which one is it? So we've been going through mixed emotions and getting mixed signals from the market. The good thing about it is everybody knows that we've taken care of our lorries. We've always had them on full scan your R&M, and I did my damnedest to keep them looking fresh. I know some of you are going to point out that I didn't always clean them, but there was no time. So the sale of the lorries is going steady. We are getting the money that we want for them, but just in the last 2 days, it's kind of slowed down a little bit. Almost what happens is the day is quiet, and then people go home on an evening, they see the lorry advertised, or they got a new job coming up, or something clicks in their head, the text messages and calls come through at night, and then they come and view them over the next few days. There's still about 35 to 40% of the fleet still sat outside. A couple of the lorries have been bought and the people aren't coming to collect them. I'm like, do you want to come and get the lorry?
Yeah, I'm going to get round to it.
Boy, ain't that good. You just buy a lorry and just park it and not even bother to go and collect it. I thought I would feel more emotional about seeing the lorries leave the yard, but the real emotion for me was the video last night and seeing everyone's reaction. And that's it for Thursday. Who called man? Suspected spam. Won't be calling that back. It's Friday. And I'm in the yard, up at the top, having a look at the ramp we put in place, which should be suitable for a Ford Transit-like van to exit and get back up onto the train line. We need to do some tidying up around here, but we will leave that for tomorrow afternoon, about the time that we refuel the loading shovel and LH60 to ensure we're ready for Monday. Even though the train is coming at 2 o'clock, we want to ensure we are ready from first thing in the morning. Going through admin, and paperwork in the offices. And as part of our restructure and no longer running lorries, we are going through a process. Some of our previous clients believe that the money owed to us does not need to be paid. Because we had an invoice finance facility, we draw down on the money, and now the money is owed to the invoice finance company. So of course, we are helping collect out the old book, but the money is due. And we have some, I repeat, some, not all clients, looking for excuses not to pay and going quiet. The invoice finance company do work with us, and while we have a fantastic relationship, at the end of the day, they're a bank and they want their money, which they're entitled to. So they may take a more stern approach than we would. Anyway, I'm gonna get on with the ramp down the bottom, and I am gonna head to the refurbishment project for a client meeting.
The client meeting is complete. We had a couple of samples approved, but these were some of the main talking points which have not been covered before. Firstly, this area. If you have a look at an image of what it looked like originally. Now we're trying to work out the way we're going to do it now. We had ideas of having frames with fireproof glass. We're now going to approach it in a different way and have one flat piece of glass in a frame, and then underneath we're going to build round storage. So we need to ensure that this is completely fire resistant, because beneath is the staircase what takes us down to the basement, and this is of course the kitchen. Then we move over to this side. You can see the air conditioning, point my hand properly. This is the in, and this is, no, and this is the out. I'm trying to do this in reversal mode on the camera. Now, if you have a look at the renders for the kitchen, you'll see there's a storage unit there. We've discussed with the client and said, this isn't going to really work. And they said,
Can you just build it for aesthetic purposes?
but we don't want to limit any of the airflow. But the client has assured us that if we do build the shelf there, they're not going to put anything on the shelf. It's just for aesthetic purposes. So we are going to go with their guidance and build around it. That can begin fabrication. Also in the kitchen, you see a couple of weeks back, we had samples come from Italy of the stone for the ball and the worktop. The client approved the stone, but they had concerns around the stone being porous, and either red wine or if you cook with spices, the stone could absorb it. So we are going to seal the stone, but the client has asked if we can get a sample of the stone sealed so we can see if the color of it slightly changes. It could be slightly more gloss once there is a protective layer. And finally, again, in this area, this wall is where we are going to have the champagne display. But the client has asked if we could change it so we had a backlit perspex, and you'll see the white stands. They've asked for these white stands to be the same color as the rest of the unit. We are getting answers. We're fully decided in this area. I told you a couple of weeks back, this fireplace is going to be clad in copper. We have sent the client examples of a fireplace that's going to be here. Now, we were going to ask a stonemason to completely design it from scratch, but it was too expensive. So we're sending the client options for ready-made products which are on the shelf. So that should be considerably cheaper. No decisions were required with the ribboned staircase. None at all, but I do love coming here and looking at it. Realistically, we are probably 4 to 6 weeks away from starting on site again. Because there were decisions made with the bathrooms, we're waiting for those fixtures and fittings to be delivered. Once we have them, we will be back on site and pushing on. And that is it for the refurbishment project and Friday.
It's Saturday and we're in the yard. The sun is shining and I have pulled out the springtime jumper. Yes, I refuse to let this jumper go. A lot like the one with the hole in the arm that I wear in the winter with the roll neck. Hopefully, for the rest of this year, I can now wear my spring attire. We are preparing, forgive my small steps, we are preparing for the train on Monday. The lads are taking material and taking it from a storage area and moving it so it is a lot closer to where we're gonna load the train. Because when the train gets here, there will be no waiting around. Now the time is 1:18. I could get my lunch, warm it up and sit down and eat my lunch off the floor of our railway track because it is so fantastically clean. But I will not do that today because I just want to check what's going on with the material first. We need to refuel the L860. How much have we got in the shovel?
320 liters.
How much does it fill it? 500?
400.
First thing when we get here Monday morning, we need to grease the L860.
Yeah.
I think we should have enough for the train now, Muck, no? We'll leave the piles that we've brought over. When the train gets here, we'll know pretty quickly, and then we'll say if we need to bring more. We've got our slate up the top, which we're trying to protect as much as possible until landscaping companies come in and begin to collect. We then got a little bit of sand and gravel. And then here we have our first pile of non-haz. We have a little gap here because we're hoping this is where the L860 can work. We've left enough space that the L860 can track up and down, but because we can fit 29 wagons on the primary line and they're sending between 20 and 22, we think we should have some space to maneuver. So L860 here, using this pile and using this pile. So stay with me. Non-haz and non-haz. Let's keep it moving. Next, we have a pile of 6F5, the finest, as my townie would say, in West London. Here we go. Pile of 6F5 ready to collect. Now, I do want Luke to go around the other side, but he may not be able to. But Luke, you may want to try and make your way around and meet me on the other side. Well done, Luke. We have our remaining stock of blocks. And then, once again, let's go. Another pile of non-haz. And on the other side of that, we have our remaining Type 1. We have 2 trains worth of material. We're kind of roughly guesstimating how much is 1 train's worth. However, the fact that we've moved so much around already, once we start to load the train, if we see we're going to be short, then the shovel can start bringing it round as quickly as possible. All is going well in the yard, and the train could be cancelled at any point, but we're not in control of that. All we can really do is work on the bits which we are in control of. Hopefully the sun will keep shining and Monday can be a monumentous day and the next step towards our plans for the future.
Remove this. And guess what, Sarush? You now have to do the other TV.
Which we can sequence accordingly. I mean, we're gonna get the hub fitted onto the tyre van. And now we're gonna get the hub, and now we're gonna fit the bearing, and now we're gonna fit the bearing onto the tyre van. And now we're gonna fit the bearing hub, and now we're gonna fit the bearing and hub onto the tyre van. I can see you laughing at me. He's laughing at me.
I'm gonna try not to get in the way of the TV, Sarush. So I'm gonna sit back here and hopefully I don't put my hand in. You know, when I do that, that's when Sarush gets upset and starts making all types of sounds when he's editing.
Yeah. What's the size of a cat?
I just wanted the mic. I didn't want to shake your hand.
He didn't even want to shake his hand, he wanted the mic.
You sure I didn't take that as well?
I'm wondering what the shops in the local area are going to do. Like, the amount of money that you spend a day going to the shop and getting food and getting milk and all these things, I think they're going to be a trouble tale without you. Yeah, I think they're going to be out. You're probably propping up a couple of businesses, Tel, with your daily antics. Wait, do you reckon that, you know when they retire a shirt, do you reckon we should retire your chair? That no one could ever sit in that chair again. Who'd they retire the shirt for? Batistuta at Florentina, no? Did they retire his shirt? Maybe. And they've retired the 23 at the Bulls. We're saying we should just retire the chair to say that no one could ever sit in that chair like Terry again. Is that what you're saying?
Another thing in the yard to collect dust.
I'm up at the top of the yard.
Start again. These videos are 2 weeks behind, for those of you who don't know. And last week, these videos, what is going on here, man?
It's Friday, and I'm in the yard, just inspecting up the top of the track. So it's Friday, and I'm in the yard, just inspecting our. Oh God, who's this now? Mike, everything's got to be difficult, man. Everything's got to be difficult. This is just long, man.
The worktop is a travertine, which means it. Also in the kitchen, the worktop has. Also in the kitchen, you'll see a few weeks back, we had samples come from Italy. This is for the ball and the flat. So we're going to act. The client expressed concern. It could be slightly more gloss.
And that's it for Ashville Weekly, episode 231. Click here for the Ashville website. Click here to subscribe to our channel. Click down here to see an Ashville video you may not have seen before. And click down here for last week's episode, which was number 230.